How many movies have you seen this year so far?
124. Sounds like a magnificent dart score from the Ali Pally. But yeah, that's a record. I had gone over 100 once before 2 years ago and have upped my game.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in?
Before we go into your top 10 for 2018, give us some close calls.
We had 28 films that were either very good, excellent, or an absolute classic. So that's a decent ratio and probably a little more than before. The best foreign film that, not in the top 10, but came 15th was the Icelandic film Undir Trénu. Under the Tree is the English translation. Nothing to do with the Spar franchise chain at all, but rather a neighbourhood dispute. Very well done. Low budget, but brilliantly acted and a great story to it.
Subtitled?
Yes, it is. Really good. Avengers Infinity War, almost the best superhero film of the year. All the Money in the World, the true story of the kidnapping in Italy of an American billionaire's son.
This is the Gettys, isn't it?
That's right.
This is the movie where somebody stepped in for...
Yes, Kevin Spacey was supposed to play the billionaire Getty, and Christopher Plummer came in at late notice.
A movie miracle, because he nails it. Like, he is amazing in it.
Completely. Yeah, definitely. You certainly couldn't see Kevin Spacey in it.
Spacey way too young for that role, wouldn't you?
Yeah, really. 20 years too young, would have thought. Yeah, so that worked out well. And even closer yet was the best documentary of the year for me, which was Whitney. Now, there was 2 Whitney documentaries recently, Whitney and Whitney Can I Be Me. This one had more of the approval of the family and more interviews with them, an awful lot of backstage footage and footage from their hotels and how she was just off her face on alcohol and drugs.
Let's get serious here. Let's get into our top 10. Albie, do you want to do a kind of a drum roll sound there?
Incredible.
Number 10.
Favorite superhero movie of the year? Didn't expect it to be at all. Aquaman. As well as visuals, you do need to have a great story, and I thought it was really good from start to finish. Was entertained by it. It wasn't too cheesy, and there was good humour as well. Really some laugh out loud moments in it, and so it had everything for me. I really, really enjoyed it.
Number 9.
Total different genre here is Phantom Thread. It is an absolutely masterful performance by him. He's this self-absorbed yet totally gifted fashion designer in London who will supply gowns to queens across Europe, princesses, well-to-do, but he is utterly self-absorbed and lives in his own world, and people revolve around him. He comes across Vicky Krieps. It's all about the relationship between those two, but also he is a very controlling sister and very much involved in it too. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't particularly think I would in advance, but really, really excellent.
Number 8.
Hostiles. Now, you talked about slow moving. This is the best slow moving film I've ever seen in my life. And it is slow moving.
For a trailer, it does look slow though, you're right.
It is.
But it looks good.
It does look good. And that's just the cinematography, the visuals are stunning. The performances are brilliant. And that makes up for the slow movingness of it. There's something about it. Normally, I wouldn't forgive that. And it's boring. But no, you can actually look at it and be pleased and be entertained because it looks so great.
Number 7
is Lady Bird. Again, I did not think I would like this at all, and was very pleasantly surprised. Loved it, thought the humour in it was brilliant. Performance of Saoirse Ronan in particular was fantastic. Does capture teen angst in suburban USA really, really well. Just everything about it was good. I don't think it was too long either. It ticked all the boxes.
I turned it off after 25 minutes in iTunes. What do you think?
I thought it was actually excellent. It makes itself underrated.
Yes.
There are no aspects which were not done superbly.
The one good thing I like about this podcast, right, is that we all have completely different tastes.
Number 6
First Man, the story of the moon landings, Neil Armstrong going to the moon with Buzz Aldrin. And this was brilliant. Again, would have had slight fatigue in advance of Ryan Gosling playing Ryan Gosling, and he almost did, but brought in quite a bit. It turns out that Neil Armstrong would be similar to him, I suppose, in being quite secluded and enigmatic and not a little weird. So that worked out well. But it was a fascinating insight into Neil Armstrong himself, as opposed to a documentary or a biopic of the moon landing. It really focused on Neil Armstrong and did it brilliantly. And he and his wife had a daughter who died very early on, died aged 2 or 3, and it focused on that a huge amount, and the effect that it had on him, but how he suppressed all that so well that would have come through all the psychometric tests that have been required to see who is the most fitting person to do this incredibly difficult, incredibly technical, incredibly pressurized role. So, yeah, and it looked brilliant. The moon landing scenes were very realistic.
Yeah, very good.
Really well done. There was, I didn't like how they portrayed Buzz Aldrin. I think looking at the background, he wasn't that much of an asshole, total uncaring asshole that he came through in the film. May have been elements of that, certainly, but not to that pantomime effect. And that's what I didn't like. That was the one thing I didn't like about it. But all in all, excellent stuff.
Number 5
Widows. The twists and turns were amazing. The ensemble cast acting was brilliant. And I think in terms of that, it would be between them and Lady Bird for the best ensemble, because you have so many characters in it and they all play their roles so well.
An Irish presence in both. Saoirse Ronan and obviously Liam and Colm in Widows.
In both of those ensemble casts, yeah, exactly, yeah, which is not bias at all, just the way it happens to be.
Yeah, my favourite scene is the two guys pretending to be drinking and they're off the gargle themselves, you know, acting at its best.
Did that feature, or the fact that they are actual teetotal, did that enhance the...
Probably, yeah.
Right, okay.
Again, what I said about that movie when we did review it was it is a movie where the trailer does not do the film justice.
No, that's true. It doesn't give you the sense of the twist and turn story that's to come. It's relatively long as well. I think it's around about the 2-hour mark. And it does keep you entertained throughout the whole thing as well.
Number 4
is Upgrade. The action is constant and frenetic, and it's really well shot. So it's a great story set in futuristic times, and didn't stay at the box office very long at all. Only a couple of weeks, I think. So should have been marketed better. I thought it was thoroughly excellent.
Nice.
So the budget of that is 5 million.
Wow. So yeah, there you go.
5 million.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Tiny.
Absolutely
What's
tiny.
that between friends?
Number 3
is American Animals. Hugely enjoyable film about an attempted heist by 5 chaps in the States, and a true story. I mean, unbelievably true. And what was great about it is that they had the actual people involved, the robbers, in the film, talking about it, only for maybe 2-3 minutes in total screen time. But it was really effective, really well done. But overall, the tension throughout the film, the story, the acting, the soundtrack was all fantastic. It was really, really enjoyable. A brilliant piece of work.
Wow, it's pretty good. They had them in as of who they are today.
That's
not
right.
As younger versions.
Yeah, indeed. They interviewed them. So just them, it is based, I think, about 20 years ago when it actually happened. They were attempting to steal a very precious book from a university library. And it went awfully wrong. That's not a spoiler, really. I think that's fairly obvious. But yeah, so they served their time. They're out now, and they interviewed them all, and it was brilliant. It was a great view of how well the casting was done, because each of them you could see the actor in them. So very, very good likeness between them.
Number 2
was Molly's Game, and saw this probably in the first month of the year, in January. If not, it was in early February, and really enjoyed it as well. It's about again a true story, so interesting theme to a point in the top 10 of someone who sets up high roller poker evenings for businessmen, celebrities, billionaires, sons of millionaires, etc., etc. And as I say, it's a true story. It's a fascinating one. Having been a poker player back in the day, not professionally or anything like that, but just having enjoyed lots of games of poker, Texas Hold'em, what I liked about it was, and compared to many other films that involved poker, is that they got the rules absolutely right. They got how pots could build up.
Oh,
absolutely
really?
Correct. Yeah. They obviously had a very good consultant in for that. And it's crucial, because otherwise it just looks awful.
No, they did do it really well. I've only experienced in strip poker, but I did see they had done it really well. I did think it was great, and I think it was a fascinating story. Yeah.
Yes. And same writers, The Big Short, which I didn't like so much, but I really enjoyed this. And you could see it was similar, though, in terms of very quick moving from scene to scene and very flashy imagery, but done really, really well.
Number 1
Out of the 124 movies this year to date, your numero uno is... Albie, drum roll once more.
Oh, for God's sake.
A Quiet Place, said very loudly, which probably wasn't. Should have said A Quiet Place. I loved this from start to finish. It was done so well. Very hard to recreate an end of the world type scenario. Very hard to make that look realistic on screen.
Yeah, totally.
And they totally did. And the acting in it was brilliant. Emily Blunt was fantastic in it. The child actors were brilliant as well. And the whole tension throughout, the drama, and there's one scene in the middle where you just curl up and shriek. I won't spoil it, but anybody who's seen it, I think, knows it involves going down a stairs and encountering something unexpected. And all with such a low level of actual chat in the film. Makes it, a lot of people are amazed when people ask what your favourite was, and since I've seen it, it has been up there. They said, oh, I'd like to watch it, but my partner doesn't, because they heard that there's hardly any talking in it. So this is kind of the general chat. It's like, oh, I won't touch that because there's hardly any talking about it, which is absolutely wrong to prejudge it with that. Go and watch it and then say afterwards whether you loved it or not, and the vast, vast majority will do. I haven't met anybody yet who has seen it who said, I was underwhelmed by it. They thought it was brilliantly done. So
it's interesting, actually, because there's quite a few low-budget films in your top 10. Lady Bird comes in at 10 million budget.
Wow.
Okay.
Upgrade was 5 million. American Animals was 3 million. The Quiet Place at 17 million budget.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Well made for that.
Yeah, very well made.
Yeah.
So a good few very low budget. 3 million, 5 million, 10 million in your top 10. That's good going.
That's brilliant.
And it just shows you that you can make a good movie. It doesn't have to have huge amounts of cash behind it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So that is it. That is the top 10. And in a future cast, we will chat about the 10 worst films.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.